So if you couldn't tell by the title, this is the last issue of NYX. And at the end of this book, Marvel is assuming that you want to see a certain character's story continue in Giant Size X-Men. Now, I like the character, but I could care less. There are other characters in this book that I want to see their story continue. Let me know what character or characters whose stories you want to hear continue. Please let me know in the comments. Support the comic book industry by visiting your local LCS. And maybe these stories won't get cut off at 10. My name is Dorian. This is SEO Comics. We are concluding our coverage of NYX with number 10. Our story starts off where it always starts off in this book, in New York. And through graffiti art, we're seeing what's going on. Like Keegan is being snatched up by Mojo. Now, if you're wondering how Mojo just snatched up Keegan like this, Professor Xavier shows up and is like, hey, we need to get the last recurring seed from Doom. They're pretty much like, you could kick rocks. We don't want anything to do with you. But Miss Marvel and Andal decide to help him. We'll come to find out, he doesn't even care about the recurring seed. He was there to get his helmet back. And Andal and Miss Marvel were left high and dry. They wind up getting the seed. Actually, they didn't wind up getting the seed. They got a seed, but it wasn't the right one because Mojo and this young mutant did a swap. So now they got the real seed. Mojo ingests it, and now he's making his own Mojo world in New York. He snatched up Loco, and now he snatched up Keegan. Then we cut to Miss Marvel, and she is complaining to Sophie and Prodigy about how her cousin is trying to find out her identity, and she doesn't want that to happen because she still wants to keep it secret. And these guys can care less. They're pretty much like, nobody on this team has a secret identity except for you. Like, everybody knows who we are. And besides, even if you don't want the rest of the world to know who you are, your family should know. Like, you shouldn't keep them in the dark about this. Now, Miss Marvel was convinced that her parents will just not understand. And Prodigy's like, yeah, they will not understand, especially if you don't tell them and they find out some other way. And they probably will find out some other way. But then they're interrupted by Laura, who comes in and lets them know that Keegan's been snatched up, and the person that snatched him up is Mojo. Once they gather up Hellion and Andal, they get a really good look at what the city looks like. And Laura says this is no longer New York. No, this is Mojo City. I call it Mojo World. It's really Mojo City. So Miss Marvel and Andal dumbfounded. They're like, hold on, time out. We got the seed. So how's he doing all this? And then Andal's like, hold on. He had the young mutant Fauna with him. I'm like, his name is Fauna. You get to stop right there. Like, that's your answer. So Hellion's like, what's the plan? Project's like, I think I got something cooking. So Hellion's like, what you got going in that big old brain of yours? What ultimate weapon you got? And Project's like, ultimate weapon? It's my phone. And he starts calling people. He calls Sync. He calls Sabuner, who has a flip phone, by the way. He calls Dupe, and he also calls the rest of the Stuffer Cuckoos. And they all converge on Mojo. Now, his main body is at Grand Central Station, so he has a bunch of hostages besides Keegan and Loco. So Sync wastes no time tapping into Cyclops' Optic Blast. And Mojo's like, yeah, I come a little bit harder than that if you're going to do something to me right now, because the way things are going, it's Mojo City now, but eventually I'm going to do a world tour. So he does want Mojo World. So let's leave that in there. So Laura fills everybody in that Mojo operates on belief. That's how he gathers up his power. And right now he has a whole bunch of hostages that believe that he is the devil. So as they're fighting through all these vines, Laura's like, we need to figure out a way to get more people to believe in us than they believe in him. So then Sophie's like, I got it. I think I know what we need to do. So she uses her power to tap into everybody around, not just mutants, but also humans too. So it pretty much goes, everybody, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but we need your hearts. Like, she fell just short in saying that they're going to beat Mojo with the power of love. Now, before you guys come at me in the comments, yeah, I know Mojo is a belief-based alien, so yeah, you need to believe in yourself, or I guess you need more people to believe in you than they believe in him. I get it. When I was reading this, the only thing that popped up in my head was Huey Lewis in the news. So now with Sophie as the distributor of the belief, the rest of the NYX team is ready to get at Mojo. So Laura goes to Ms. Marvel's like, it's bad for him to rescue Keegan. The main person we need to rescue first is Loco, because he's the reason why Mojo's even able to do all this. So Sync is tapping into Laura's powers, he's tapping into Iceman powers, like he's tapping into everybody's powers. Miss Marvel and Hellion team up. Laura frees Keegan, even though she was supposed to go after Loco. And I guess they hit enough crucial spots that now all of a sudden Mojo just blows up out of nowhere. So Keegan's safe, the rest of the Hodgeses are safe. Mojo's pretty much gone, but also Loco's gone too. Like, nobody can find Loco. And Sophie's like, I don't think he's gone. I think he's just something else now, because I can still feel him. So one of the Hodgeses happens to be Miss Marvel's cousin. And even though she just got finished saving him and the whole city, he's still giving her grief about all this stuff because she's a mutant. So finally, Miss Marvel's like, look, you need to look at me closely. You need to listen to my voice. So then he realizes that it's Kamala, his cousin. So he just kind of stares at her, and then he goes, never tell your parents. You'll just break their heart. And he just walks away. So now that the threat's over, everybody kind of just moves on with their lives. Loco, I guess, now is a part of the Krakoan seed, so he's a part of the city in a whole different manner now. And then we cut to Kamala, who is sitting down eating dinner with her parents. She has the opportunity to finally tell them that she's Miss Marvel, but she chooses not to. Which, the way that they respond once she tells them that I guess Miss Marvel is taking a break because she heard through the grapevine that she is, that it might have been actually a good idea, because they're like, I bet her father is very happy. Me personally, I think they already know. They're just not letting on until she decides that she feels comfortable enough to tell them. But I think that they know that she's Miss Marvel. And I feel like what her father just said, he's not mad at her for being Miss Marvel. He just wants his daughter to be safe, so he's happy that she's taking a break. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same way. It says right at the bottom that Kamala's story will continue in Giant Size X-Men #1, which, that is great. Fantastic. Can't wait to read that book and to see her story continue. But me personally, I'm more worried about seeing Sync's story continue, and Prodigy, and Sophie Cuckoo, and, well, Laura, we could throw her out the way. She has her own solo book. But I want to hear about all the other mutants, especially Subuner, because I want to know, like, send him back to Morocco so we can find out the hell's going on Morocco. Like, I want to know what's happening on Morocco, what's going on with Apocalypse, what's going on with all them hard-hitting mutants. Like, I want to know. That's the story that I want to continue. Like, never in my wildest dreams, when they enter Krakoa, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, well, you know, Rocco's on Mars, so, you know, that story should continue. Ha! It's been a year. Haven't heard anything about it. Not one thing about Rocco. Might have showed up in another story. Wasn't an X story. I can tell you that much. Well, it could have been, because I don't read every X story. Most of them, not all of them. But I haven't heard anything come over Rocco, and that's upsetting me, because they did a story about the heir of Apocalypse, where Doug Ramsey pretty much is taking over the responsibilities of Apocalypse here on Earth. Haven't heard no hide or hair of him. For those people who don't know who Doug Ramsey is, that's Cypher. Since we canceled 3 X books, why don't you bring back just one? And that's X-Men Red. That book was fire. I mean, fire. Love X-Men Red. We need to find out what's going on in Rocco. We need to find out what's going on with Apocalypse. So bring back X-Men Red. Now, how'd you like this story? It was rushed as hell. But I do not blame the writers, because it was pretty much told after they wrote issue 9 that they need to wrap everything up in one issue. It's almost impossible. It's damn near impossible. Unless you're going to let them have like this giant size NYX book that's like 60 pages, you know, then they might have a shot. But that's still going to be hard to wrap it up like that. So I don't blame it. Yeah, it was rushed as hell. It was rushed, but I don't blame them. And they need to get another gig because the story was moving along. So, and it could have led to something better if they had more time, but unfortunately they didn't have time. So let me know in the comments how you feel, how this ended. Like I said, this last issue was rushed as and you can tell it was rushed, but what can you do? Like I said, I don't blame them for it.